Quick video this morning on reading in a CSV file into R, doing some quick roll-ups, and then ultimately graphing using ggplot. So you can see here I've got some railroad information from the city of Denver. It's called railroads.csv. I've previously saved this in a folder on my desktop. So the first step is to go in here under session, set the working directory to that source file location. So you can see here it's already pointed to Denver Railroad, so we should be all set and ready to go. I'm going to load in my two libraries. I like dplyr and ggplot for this. And now we're going to get into the part where we actually read in the CSV file itself. So we're going to run this script. You can see it's as simple as read.csv. It's went out, it's grabbed that railroads.csv file and created a data frame for me to use for all of my feature analysis. And so if we were to take a quick look at it, you can just see, it has all the information about these Denver railroads that we were looking for, and it's in an easy to use format for me. So the next step is taking that base set of data, that railroads base data data frame, and we're going to actually create some railroad counts from that. So you can see here I'm using that base set of data. I'm going to simply group by company name, and then using this summarize function here, I can get total counts preserving that grouping of company name. And you'll see what I mean here in a second. So we'll go ahead and run that piece. And we now have another data frame called railroad counts. Let's take a look at that and see how it looks. And here you go, like we expected, it's really just rolling up by the company name and counting the total observations for each one of those companies. So at this point, we're in a pretty good spot. We can go ahead and think about graphing this. So really, again, just a straightforward graph. On the x-axis, we're going to keep the company name. On the y-axis, we're going to just graph that total count variable that we defined earlier. And we're going to be using ggplot. It's a great, if you're not familiar with it, take a look. It's a great tool for putting together some really neat visualizations in R. I use it daily in my work, and I don't know what I'd do without it. But I'll show you here quickly how that's going to look. So we're going to call ggplot. We're going to reference this data frame earlier, railroad counts. In this AES, or this aesthetics wrapper, this just says, hey, what do you want on the x and y axis? In our case, we want on the x-axis the company name. On the y-axis, we want the total count. And from there, we can start layering on some of these graphics. So for example, here we know we want to create a bar chart. So I'm just going to simply ask for a bar chart with geom bar. Stat identity is important because it just means that we're going to actually use our total count variable and we're not rolling up a granular data set. It'll make more sense whenever you get into it and start using it. And fill is simply the color of the bar that we want. In this case, I define it to be blue. We could make it look however we want though. The next layer here on row 19 is adding a label to the top of the bar charts. So again, there's an aesthetic label that says, hey, what do you want to use? In my case, I want to use that total count variable that we defined earlier. So if we go ahead and run this piece of it, you'll see that we now have a graph here in the bottom right corner that we can take a look at that gives us all the information we wanted. So on the x-axis, we have the company name. On the y-axis, we still have the total counts for each of those. So I hope this was helpful. A really quick overview. It really helps you understand the importance of read CSV. It shows you how you can quickly roll up some data sets into additional data frames like we did in railroad counts, and then ultimately be able to graph that and use this in a presentation by using ggplot.